Wait, we got the boys. Wait, whoa. We got team 1 with Wild Imp. The one, the only, if you guys remember one from BFA, Demo main. He's super excited for 9-1, dude. Was talking to me on PTR the other day. And we got Fear Lord X. Boom, a sword here. We got the boys on the team. We also got Milord Pala, Name. We got ourselves Manbear Tree and Bio. On the other team, we have ourselves Chicago with iFox, Moonfella, and Wargren. Wargren's still second, trying out the marksman. And Wild Imp is going to be first up versus Fear Lord. No! Why do friends have to fight each other? Why do the dual gods have to fight each other first? Oh no! Shadow Priest versus Demonology Warlock. Who wins this one, boys? Place your bets. Who wins this one? It's a hard one, dude. I want to say Shadow Priest wins, but maybe I'll be proven wrong. Like, I want Demonology to win because I love Demonology and I play that on my main, or my Warlock. And I try to play more Demonology than anything. Trading stunts, but I feel like because of the control, Shadow Priest is probably going to win. I don't know. Wild Imp actually goes for the Dark Iron Racial to remove the silence into a Mortal Call onto Fear Lord immediately. Does eat a Mind Games. It's going to be great fate for Fear Lord as he does dip behind the pillar, trying to go for a bit of a movement ability. Tired is on him. He's going to get a clap in there. Shot if you're around the corner. Fear Lord is going to eat it. It's going to be short. Banish onto Fear Lord's pet. Gets himself a massive heal though. Massive heal. Rolling that healing legendary. That's going to be banished onto the Shadow Fiend, trying to deny any kind of resources, or I guess mana for Fear Lord. Reflect available for Wild Imp. He's just pushing ahead of Fear Lord as best as he can, trying to set up a big decimated bolt. Doesn't quite get it. It has a bit of a cast time. Fear Lord getting a stun into Wild Imp. Trick it out immediately. Again, trying to walk ahead of Fear Lord as best as he can. Does hit him with the fear. Henical Dawn does go for the undead racial to break out of that fear. And Fear Lord is kind of low in health. Silence of the Wild Imp does trade the Mind Games, and the pets are going to end up healing Fear Lord a little bit. At least the Felguard will. And that's going to be Fear Lord with that Disperse getting quite a bit of a heal. Flash got able for Wild Imp, trying to get himself a bit extra healing going. Fear Lord just building a bit of sanity off of the pet of the Felguard in the room. Might as well, because then he could drop a bunch of DPs into Wild Imp. As long as he doesn't reflect them, then he'll be in a good spot. But Fear Lord is still avoiding the Warlock as best as he can. He wants to get some dots and damage on the pet. And Wild Imp just kind of letting him do it. He's not really trying to pull the pet out to not give him any resources. Actually, just going to go for new resummon by the looks of it. Maybe? It's going to be an interrupt on the Fear Lord. I think he knew that he was going to come out trying to cast at him. Hits him with an interrupt. Great Fate available. Fear Lord is going to get the fear, dude. Into a Mind Games onto Wild Imp. No Dark Iron Racial. Or yeah, Dark Iron Racial available just yet. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. He's going to summon himself a new pet. Might as well get a fresh one. Might as well get a healthy one. Big Shadow Crash into Wild Imp does proc out the Slime Jelly to give him a shield, sending all those beds back onto the Shadow Priest. And he's going to be back there, again, able to get quite a bit of resources. Fear Lord does have defenses coming back up very, very soon, so he might get a bit more aggressive with the defenses. Wild Imp also has very short cooldowns, especially on the offensive side. With that Tyrant being a 1 minute cooldown, 1.5 minute CD. And could actually shorten it if you run a Lego, but you're not going to run that in PvP. He runs the one where he empowers the damage of his pet and damage of himself. Stun onto Fear Lord X. With the second pet, the second Tyrant, the second Felguard. Silence on the Imp. Does he still get the Tyrant off? He still got the Tyrant off. Mortal Call into Fear Lord. That's going to be Tyrant actually moved with him with a port by the looks of it. And the Tyrant is unable to really reach Fear Lord at all. And he's going to avoid that thing as best as he can. Fear onto the Tyrant, but also clips Wild Imp as well. That's going to be Mind Games onto the Warlock. With a big PI as Fear Lord is getting aggressive here. Once you get a bunch of those DPs rolling. Still getting beat up by the Felguards, man. Second stun coming out from Felguard. It is going to be full. No GRs or anything. Tries to go for a Fear into Fear Lord. That is going to be stunned from the Warlock into an immediate Trinket intro by Wild Imp. Fear Lord's PI does get removed. Wild Imp gets himself a nice new Flesh Scrap to get himself a little bit extra health. Slowing in even more pets onto Fear Lord. But the Priest got the mobility around the pillar. Quite a bit of mobility. Greater Fate also gives him that movement speed increase from time to time. A bit of sprint. Is able to recover health. Wild Imp hits him with a fear. Might be able to get himself a pet setup. Gets a Helical Dawn. Did Fear Lord just use the Undead Racial? I think he did use the Undead Racial. I think he did Will of Forsaken that one. Just to get out of it. Silence of the Wild Imp. Didn't really take too much damage during that silence. Void Eruption available for Fear Lord. Got himself lots of Void Bolts available. Lots of DPs up too. Could be quite a bit of hits onto Wild Imp. Fears all the pets with the big Mind Games. And a stun to follow right after him. Mind Blast onto the pet actually. Instead of a Wild Imp, that is an interesting choice. Maybe he had double Mind Blast available and wanted to hit the pet as well as Wild Imp. Actually taking down the pet. That's why. Summons a quick new Felguard with a Tyrant backup. Fearlord does not have defenses. Actually, no. He has Greater Fade. Disperse is available if he needs to use it. Does get himself a Battle Master Trinket, trying to give himself a bit of a heal. The Tyrant is going to get some slaps in there. Mortal Coil goes for Disperse immediately. Used to use it ASAP. Drain Life out for Wild Imp the Warlock. And Fearlord does get a lot of health recovery here. A little bit of left before the PI as well as an Empiric Embraces back up, so you could combine them together for quite a bit of damage. Wild Imp looking to get, again, better angle. Summons an extra Felguard. Does go for a stun. Stun getting traded. Actually interrupting the stun onto Fellord. Actually locked out for a bit. Silence onto Wild Imp. Try to see if he can light inside it. It looks like the Fell Guards are going to take it down. Oh, he actually Dark Iron racial that. Mind games. So then the pets were not healing the Shadow Priest. They're actually the damage. Because if Wild Imp has the Mind Games, then the pets also have Mind Games effect. But if he removes it, the pets are able to do damage. And they just locked him down. 2 Fell Guards. That was awesome. Wild Imp throws a Mortal Coil immediately into the Rogue, into a stun right after he trinkets it. Has a gateway if he wants to use it. It's going to be Cloak of Shadows for Bio. But he's going to bail out of there and vanish. Cloak of Shadows was used really early. Wild Imp survived narrowly though. That was so close. That was so close. That was such a good setup. Both of them played it really well. You can't complain there, man. Both of them played it really, really well in my opinion. Super well. Sap it to Wild Imp, keeping the pet away so he doesn't get sapped immediately. Walks him actually next to him. Trick it for Wild Imp into a stun into Bio. Is he going to get some pets in? Fear by Wild Imp does land the Fear. And it's going to be Decimated Bolt following that with a Tyrant up. Those pets are going to run into Smoke Bomb. Tried to Shadow Fear with Smoke. Does not get to him. That Tyrant is going to have a field day with you though. Mortal Coil onto Bio. No Vanish available. Does he have anything at all? Looks like he's down. Oh. And Milord charging at him immediately. Wild is going to have to play this really wild right now. A Reflect is up. Milord Pala made sure not to hodge it. And Wild is going to take a lot of damage from Milord Pala. Mounting up, and that's going to be a stun. Slowing him down as best as he can. In any way he can. That was the gateway. That was the port used just now. This personal portal for Wild Imp did not use gateway. I think he might have used the gateway versus the Rogue. Trying to spam fears into Milord Pala. He is going to need to go for a bit of health recovery here. Mortal Coils and Drain Lives are going to be the play. As well as having a full Fresh Cut Shield before he even fights Milord Pala. He's going to send another Felguard pet, letting those pets just barrage him. He has a good line of sight, setting up a priming up a Decimating Bolt. And probably some Demon Bolts, huge Demon Bolts actually. Massive damage. And looks like Wild Imp has a bit of an advantage here. Has Reflect in case Milord Pala goes for a hodge. Sending out more Demon Dogs in there. Stun into Milord Pala. Locks him out of Holy actually. Might be in a bad spot. Could be a bubble here. Does go for the bubble. And Wild Imp either used a Battle Master's Trinket or he used a Burst Trinket. Is going to have a port. Does have a port available. Trying to go for the gateway into a hodge though. Does he survive this onslaught by Milord Pala? The Slime Shield goes through and does get himself a gateway off. Fleshcraft available. Could interrupt Milord Pala if the pet has a stun. And Wild Imp, not a lot of health available right now. He does need more health. He needs more healing ASAP. Definitely needs more healing. Maybe even pull his pet back. Yeah, pulling the pet back. He definitely needs more health. Too bad there's not a mage on that team. Otherwise, he'd just be able to get himself some food. Repositioning completely. Decided to go with a different position instead of putting it where his team is. Setting up a gateway as well as a port around that room and the pillar. So he marks his territory. Milord Pala has some cooldowns coming back very, very soon. But Wild Imp did force a bubble at him pretty early. Trying to go for a Tyrant is going to be an interrupt. And Milord Pala making sure not to hodge himself. As a Handle Gul'dan comes out, Mortal Coil comes in for Milord Pala, but he does have Blessing of Protection. Decimating Bolt trying to set up. That Tyrant is out, and Milord Pala is going to avoid him as best as he can. Stun around the corner, didn't quite hit him. Turn evil on one of the pets. The Tyrant looks like it's going to back up immediately. Tyrant didn't get a turn evil, but he just saw that pet run away. He's like, oh, I'm out of here. He just doesn't want to stay. He doesn't want to stay long. Reckoning coming down by Milord Pala. Wild Imp does have himself a big port into the stun as Pala tries to get mobility. Trinkets out of the stun. Hodges of Wild Imp does have a trinket for it. Has the gateway in case he needs to get the hell back in the room. He actually repositioned it again. Okay, Wild Imp not in a good position. Let's see what Mortal Coil. Let's see if anything. Pets are available. Reflect is up in case Milord Pala hodges himself. Stun onto Milord Pala as the second Felguard comes out with a Fear to follow. Hand of Gul'dan's available. It's going to be Mortal Coil. Decimating Bolt getting primed up. Actually chooses against it. Is going to go for the gateway instead. Get himself as much range as possible. And Milord Pala is going to get beat up back behind the pillar. Trying to fear one of the pets. It does go for a stun. I think the main pet maybe. Which does lock out Milord Pala and Holy. There it goes. This is going to be a really clutch duel, man. This is going to be a really rough one, honestly. Milord Pala charging in. And Wild Imp trying to stay as mobile as he can, as mobile as Warlocks can be. Wall getting used. Is that going to be enough, though? Massive Reckoning coming in for Milord Pala. And the Warlock disappears behind the pillar. Trying to get himself a bit of a flash craft. Does get interrupted on it. Super unfortunate. And Wild Imp trying to walk away from the pillar. Actually, Milord Pala went back behind the pillar. I think you saw that the pet throw, the axe toss, was used. So he went behind the pillar not to get caught out by a free cast from the Warlock. This is going to be a reflect available for Wild Imp. I think it reflects a judgment at Milord Pala. It's going to hit him with a fear. Has him out in the open. Perfect opportunity for a Tyrant. If he has any other ways to lock down Milord Pala, he'll be in a good spot. Milord Pala is going to go all the way behind the pillar. Tyrant, I think, might have gotten a one cast on him. The further we get into dampening, the worse I think it is going to get for Paladin. But Milord Pala, I think, is just waiting out for 20 seconds until Bubble is back up. He's really good at demo. Oh, Hodge reflected onto Milord Pala. I didn't even realize it. That was nuts. Milord Pala tricking it immediately. That's going to be CC chain. Once you got your trinket away, the Warlock is now going to exploit it. It looked like he had horns for a second, didn't it? It's just the crown and the way it looked. Big damage into Wild Imp. Has a massive port. Lots of range damage from Milord Pala. Those judgments still hurt. That's going to be short fear onto Milord. Wild Imp is going to have to be very, very careful. I think he just used a Mortal Coil earlier. So he needs to go for big stuns, big damage onto Milord. Has more handling ADDONS ready. That's a lot of pets around Milord Pala. He still has plenty of self-healing. Trying to catch up to the Warlock, the mastermind of all the Zeman army. While trying to avoid his pets the best they can. Stun into Wild Imp. Does he survive it? Milord Pala does not have wings, but still could be lots of pressure. And it looks like a Mortal Coil will run the Paladin in the other direction, keeping him safe. Tyrant getting used up again. Does he have a stun to combo? If only he had a stun to keep Milord Pala out in the open so the Tyrant could wail on him for like a second. If only. But at least the pets that Wild Imp does have. Oh, pushes in at Milord Pala with a reflect, hoping for a Hodge. Looks like he's poking outside, maybe to go for a port in case things go bad. Bubble available from Milord. Does he have the big go? Looks like he's setting summon up. It's going to be a. Was that a Hodge in one? He Hodged one of the dogs. Unforge. Big unforge. He Hodged one of the doges. Oh no. No. Wild Imp is going to be able to get himself a heal. No Hodge by Milord for a bit. Wild Imp could take advantage of that. He did use the Tyrant earlier, so he might just have to wait it out. Milord catching up on all that heals until he's drained of mana. 12 minutes into this duel, dude. These two juggernauts are just going at it, man. And actually having quite a bit of a game. 48% dampening. Means real bad for Milord Pala. He's eventually going to have a hard time catching up. Look at those flashlights. They're still doing a bit of work, but these pets are starting to put more pressure. It's not that his heals are doing less. It's that the pet damage, well, his heals are doing less actually. But with the pet damage on top of it, that pressure eventually is just going to catch up to you. So you better get ahead. Better start building holy power so you're using Word of Glories. You have a limited amount of mana. Start healing yourself as early as possible. But playing that careful might end up not working out for him well. Because every time you play carefully, you miss an opportunity to go ham. And there goes the opportunity to go ham. Big wreck onto Wild Imp, has a wall available. And Milord Pala bails out as soon as his bit of burst is gone. It wasn't enough to take down Wild Imp, but he's backing out completely. Switching the attention onto the pet, trying to go for Word of Glories. Still making sure to get a judgment here and there onto Wild Imp. Maybe he's hoping he has a big go without a wall next time. But that's going to be just a barrage of CC. And without a bubble, he could be in a really bad spot. He does have bubble in 2 minutes. Maybe that's what he's waiting for. Maybe he decided, you know what, I need every defensive and offensive together. I need to make sure he doesn't have any escapes. I don't have to deal with CC. Trying to go for turn evil on the pets while also not trying to get interrupted. It looks like there goes a stun on the pet. Wild Imp does push at him. Does have a trinket for that stun getting traded. Tyrant coming out. Second stun onto Milord Pala. Let's see how Mortal Coil with it. Mortal Coil runs him. The Tyrant though, the pet's got stunned with a Wake of Ashes. Super unfortunate. Tyrant might still get one cast off. Does get a cast off in there. Shield of Vengeance does not hold on long at all. Wild Imp getting those instant casts. The Tyrant is out in the open. Blessing of Protection. Only so much you can do with it. Oh, the Demon Ball goes through. Yeah, eventually that dampening is going to catch up with you. Like I said, it looks like Name is the last one. Did the other people leave, or did Wild Imp just take everybody out so far? Did he? That's going to be Name vanishing out as he didn't have a lot of health at the very end there. Had a really good go onto Wild Imp. Did everybody just leave for Team Milord Pala, or Did Wild Imp take him out? I guess the scoreboard will let us know, right? I guess we'll know there. What's up, KMW? How you doing, ma'am? Any horde groups? Yes, we do. We have one horde group with Milord Pala. Feel free to ask him after this game is over. That's going to be a cheap shot onto Wild Imp. Stun. Name taking him out. Oh. Yeah, eventually, like the Rogue is another class. You think a Warlock is a class that doesn't need healing? Look at Rogues, man. The higher the damping, the better they do, because then the enemy can heal and recover as fast. That's the only other class that can do even better. And at that point, Wild Imp, unless you have a trinket, wall, everything, it's tough. Especially a Rogue with full CDs. That's rough, man. Immortal Lock? Almost immortal. Almost immortal. Name take him out, though. Making a name for himself, dude. He's gonna go from name XD to actual name XD. Like, he's gonna make a name for himself. Right now, it's just a placeholder. Maybe. Chicago's up next, though. Ghost Wolves have been used and was able to avoid them, as these two did play each other before. Primordial Wave onto name. I think that puts a Flame Shock on him, too. Chicago does need to get a Frost Shock on the guy. Get a shot onto the pet. Frost Shock does get used. Needs to get a melee. Named cannot stun you unless he goes for cheap shot. Trying to make some damage happen. Night Fae getting used. The Earth Elemental still is around, still giving you extra health. Chicago's self-healing is getting reduced, however, quite a bit. So there's only so much you can really do in that department. Let's go for Ellie Blast versus name, as the Cloak of Shadows comes out a little bit late. And that's going to be a name. Trying to Shadow Step past Chicago. The Wolves are on him. One more hit is necessary. All he needs to do is take him out. And the Earth Elemental, I think, is going to clobber him down. Very, very close. Did Wild Imp 3. Okay, so it looked like somebody on team Milord Pala might have left. I think it was a Druid. Maybe he was AFK for a bit. But it's okay. Either way. Let's go, boys. That was good. Wild Imp rolling in, man. We had Chrysler doing well as Demon EU. And Wild Imp coming back in. If I had a Wild Loaded, probably one sad face. I think so too.